Hello, motherfucker. Alright, we just gonna get straight into it. Having a great morning. Got some fruit on deck. What else is that? My boy right here. Got my book. I'm gonna try to finish this bitch this morning. We might as well take this shit off. God damn. Let me take that off for real. And put me right here. Let's try something different. I wonder. Okay, desktop audio would have been off. These niggas is hilarious, like. But I know what I'm supposed to be learning from this situation, like. You can't count on men to be men. Man, motherfuckers will swear up and down. They really gonna try to get a rise out of you. Like they trying to get a rise out of you. And they know that they trying to get a rise out of you, but they just trying to get you out of character because they just want to see. They just want to see, how would you respond? What can we do to, like, you know? And I can't even front, like, it do irk me, but I refuse to give you the power over my emotions, like, because you clearly are acting like a hoe. Like, and if that's how your mother raised you, then like I feel sorry for you and her. Like your grandmother too, like your whole bloodline, like this what they raised, a whole ass nigga. But hey, I don't want nobody to think I'm talking about them because I'm speaking for this ain't even a blanket statement. Like, this is directly to Mr. Cook. Whole ass nigga. But like I've learned that, like, I really don't think that he can help it. Like, he really can't help it. It's in his blood. It runs through his veins. Like, it's so consistent that I know he can't help it. So, shit, he got it. And not about to get me out of my character, cause I know I beat his ass, and I don't even talk like that. I don't even bring that type of energy to but I really would beat his fat ass. And I know the first thing he gonna do is go to HR. I know the first thing he gonna call the police on me. Like, he like one of them type of niggas. But hey, I'm gonna read my book. Shut the fuck up.
Right before than you. Right before our eyes. Artists occasionally experience a sense of stagnation, a block. This isn't because the flow of creativity has stopped. It can't. This generative energy is ceaseless. It may just be that we are choosing not to engage with it. Think of an artistic impasse as another type of creation. a block of your own making, a decision, conscious or unconscious, not to participate in the stream of productive energy that is available to us at all times. When we feel a decision, conscious or unconscious, not to participate in the stream of productive energy that is available to us at all times. When we feel constricted, we might begin to create an opening through surrender. If we let go of our analytical thoughts, the flow might be able to find a path through us more easily. We can be and do rather than think and try. Create in the present rather than anticipating the future. Each time we surrender, we may come to find that the answer we seek is right before our eyes. A new idea arises. An object in the room inspires. Feelings in the body amplify. This is worth considering in difficult moments when we appear to be stuck, to have lost our way, to have nothing left to give. What if this is all a story? Be mindful not to abandon a project prematurely because you have given in to all or nothing thinking. I have witnessed several artists start projects and throw them away for this very reason. It's easy to create a piece, recognize a flaw, and want to discard the entire work. This reflex happens in all areas of life. When you look at the work, practice truly seeing what's there, without a negativity bias. Be open to seeing both strength and weakness, instead of focusing on the weakness and allowing it to overwhelm the strength. You might come to realize 80% of the work is quite good, and if the other 20% fits in just the right way, the work becomes magnificent. This is far better than trashing the work, because one small part isn't a perfect fit. When you acknowledge a weakness, always consider how it could either be removed or improved before discarding the entire piece. What if the source of creativity is always there, knocking patiently on the doors of our perception, waiting for us to unbolt the locks? If you are open and stay tuned to what's happening, the answers will be revealed. A whisper out of time. It is common for an artist to question the weight of their ideas. A 5-year-long creative process might have begun with a fleeting moment in a dream or a remark overheard in a parking lot. In hindsight, this tiny seed that led us down a winding path may seem insignificant. We might wonder if it's big enough or if the direction is important enough to keep traveling. When gathering seeds to begin our work, we may be tempted to look for a grand sign before committing ourselves, a clap of thunder to assure us that we've found the right path. We may discard ideas that don't seem of great importance or magnitude, but the size does not matter. Volume does not equal value. We can't weigh source material based on the initial impact it makes on arrival. Sometimes the smallest seed grows into the biggest tree. The most innocent idea can lead to the most consequential writing. Trivial insights can open the doors to vast new worlds. The most delicate message could be of the greatest importance. Even if the seed is nothing more than what we notice, a momentary perception, an unexpected thought, even the echo of a memory, it's enough. Most often, the hints of inspiration and direction from source are small. They appear as tiny signals traveling through the void of space, quiet
Should
and
keep that
subtle,
open.
like a whisper. To hear whispers, the mind must also be quiet. We pay close attention on all fronts, our antennae sensitively tuned. Boosting our receptivity may require a relaxing of effort. If we're trying to solve a problem, trying can get in the way. Splashing in a pond stirs up clouds of dirt in the clear water. In relaxing the mind, we may have greater clarity to hear the whisper when it comes. In addition to meditation, we might softly hold on to a question and go for a walk, swim, or drive. The question isn't being worked on, just loosely held in awareness. We are posing it gently to the universe and opening ourselves to receive an answer. Sometimes the words seem to arise from the outside, and other times, the inside. Whatever route the information arrives through, we allow it to come by grace, not effort. The whisper cannot be wrestled into existence, only welcomed with an open state of mind. Expect a surprise. If we're paying attention, we may notice that some of our most interesting artistic choices come about by accident, springing from moments of communion with the work when the self disappears. Sometimes they feel like mistakes. These mistakes are the subconscious engaged in problem solving. They're a kind of creative Freudian slip, where a deeper part of you overrides your conscious intention and offers an elegant solution. When asked how it happened, you may say that you don't know. It just came through you in the moment. In time, we grow accustomed to experiencing moments that are difficult to explain, moments where you give the art exactly what it needs, without intending to, where a solution seems as if it appeared without your intervention at all. In time, we learn to count on the hand of the unknown. For some artists, being surprised is a rare experience, but it's possible to cultivate this gift through invitation. One way is through letting go of control. Release all expectations about what the work will be. Approach the process with humility, and the unexpected will visit more often. Many of us are taught to create through sheer will. If we choose surrender, the ideas that want to come through us will not be blocked. It's similar to writing a book by following a detailed outline. Set aside the outline, write with no map, and see what happens. The premise you start with could develop into something more, something you couldn't have planned and would never have arisen if you were locked into following a particular script. With your intention set and the destination unknown, you are free to surrender your conscious mind, dive into the raging stream of creative energy, and watch the unexpected appear again and again. As each small surprise leads to another, you'll soon find the biggest surprise. You learn to trust yourself, in the universe, with the universe as a unique channel to a higher wisdom. This intelligence is beyond our understanding. Through grace, it is accessible to all. Living in discovery is at all times preferable to living through assumptions.
I like this.
Great expectations. When beginning a new project, we're often met with anxiety. It visits almost all of us, no matter how experienced, successful, or well-prepared we might be. In facing the void, there is a tension of opposites. There is an excitement for the possibility something great may be realized, and a dread it might not. And the result is out of our control. The weight of our expectations can grow heavy, as does the fear that we are not up to the task at hand. What if we can't pull it off this time? What helps to keep these worries at bay and move forward is a trust in the process. When we sit down to work, remember that the outcome is out of our control. If we are willing to take each step into the unknown with grit and determination, carrying with us all of our collected knowledge, we will ultimately get to where we're going. This destination may not be one we've chosen in advance. It will likely be more interesting. This isn't a matter of blind belief in yourself. It's a matter of experimental faith. You work not as an evangelist, expecting miracles, but as a scientist, testing and adjusting and testing again, experimenting and building on the results. Faith is rewarded, perhaps even more than talent or ability. After all, how can we offer the art what it needs without blind trust? We are required to believe in something that doesn't exist in order to allow it to come into being. When we don't yet know where we're going, we don't wait. We move forward in the dark. If nothing we attempt yields progress, we rely on belief and will. We may take several steps backward in the sequence to move ahead. If we try 10 experiments and none of them work, we have a choice. We can take it personally and think of ourselves as a failure and question our ability to solve the problem. Or we can recognize we've ruled out 10 ways that don't work, bringing us that much closer to a solution. For the artist, whose job is testing possibilities, success is as much ruling out a solution as finding one that works. In the process of experimentation, we allow ourselves to make mistakes, to go too far, to go even further, to be inept. There is no failure, as every step we take is necessary to reach our destination, including the missteps. Each experiment is valuable in its own way if we learn something from it. Even if we can't comprehend its worth, we are still practicing our craft, moving ever so much closer to mastery. With unshakable faith, we work under the assumption that the problem is already solved. The answer is out there. Perhaps it's obvious. We just haven't come across it yet. Over time, as you complete more projects, this faith in experimentation grows. You're able to hold high expectations, move forward with patience, and trust the mysterious unfolding before you, with the understanding that the process will get you where you're going, wherever that reveals itself to be. And the magical nature of the unfolding never ceases to take our breath away. Sometimes the mistakes are what makes a work great. Humanity breathes in mistakes. Openness. Our minds seek rules and limits. In attempting to navigate a large, uncertain world, we develop beliefs that give us a coherent framework, reduced options, and a false sense of certainty. Before civilization, the natural world was far more dangerous. Before civilization, the natural options, we develop beliefs. In attempting Our minds seek rules and limits. In attempting to navigate a large, uncertain world, we develop beliefs that give us a coherent framework, reduced options, and a false sense of certainty. Before civilization, the natural world was far more dangerous. In order for humans to survive, we had to assess situations and pass information quickly. This survival instinct persists today. With the overwhelming amount of information available to us, we are more reliant than ever on categorization, labeling, and shortcuts. Few have the time and expertise to evaluate each new choice with a completely open, unbiased mind. There is also a sense of security in shrinking our world to make it more manageable. The artist does not value safety and smallness. Reducing our palette to fit the perimeter of limited beliefs suppresses the work. New creative possibilities and sources of inspiration are blocked from view. If an artist keeps playing the same note, eventually the audience loses interest. There's a dullness in sameness. At a certain point in the creator's journey, the mind can become more resistant to new methods or new styles of expression. A once useful routine might, over time, turn into a narrow, fixed way of working. To break out of this mindset, our charge is to soften, to become more porous, and to let more light in. To keep the artistic output evolving, continually replenish the vessel from which it comes, and actively stretch your point of view. Invite beliefs that are different from the ones you hold and try to see beyond your own filter. Purposely experiment past the boundaries of your taste. Examine approaches you may dismiss as too highbrow or lowbrow. What can we learn from these extremes? What are the unexpected surprises? What closed door might open in your work? Consider expanding this practice to relationships as well. When a collaborator's feedback or method seems questionable and conflicts with your default setting, reframe this as an exciting opportunity.
Reframe brain. Shout out Erica Savage.
Conflicts with your default setting, collaborator's feedback or method seems practice to relationships as well. When a collaborator's feedback or method seems questionable and conflicts with your default setting, reframe this as an exciting opportunity. Do all you can to see from their perspective and understand their point of view instead of defending your own. In addition to solving the problem at hand, you may uncover something new about yourself and become aware of the limits boxing you in. The heart of open-mindedness is curiosity. Curiosity doesn't take sides or insist on a single way of doing things. It explores all perspectives, always open to new ways, always seeking to arrive at original insights. Craving constant expansion, it looks upon the outer limits of the mind with wonder. It pushes to expose falsely set boundaries and break through to new frontiers. When we encounter an artistic problem, the reason it's a problem is typically because it conflicts with our accepted beliefs of what is and isn't possible, or our expectations for what is expected to happen. A song may begin to veer away from our assumed genre. A painter might run out of a certain type of paint. A film director might experience a malfunction with a piece of equipment on set. When something doesn't go according to plan, we have a choice to either resist it or incorporate it. Instead of shutting the project down or expressing frustration, we might consider what else can be done with the materials at hand. What solutions can be improvised? How can the flow be redirected? There may be a beneficial purpose behind the issue at hand. The universe could be leading us to an even better solution. There's no way to know. We can only flow with the challenges as they come and keep an open mind with no baggage, no previous story to live up to. We simply begin from a neutral place, allow the process to unfold, and welcome the winds of change to guide the way. Many people may seem walled off, but sometimes walls can provide different ways of seeing over and around obstacles.
God damn.
With no baggage, no previous story to live up to. We simply begin from a neutral place, allow the process to unfold, and welcome the winds of change to guide the way. Many people may seem walled off, but sometimes walls can provide different ways of seeing over and around obstacles.
Many people may seem walled off, but sometimes walls can provide different ways of seeing over and around obstacles. I'll have to look that up on my work phone so they can see. So they can see that I'm looking at the type of shit I'm looking at. Dopamine Nation. That's the next book, Dopamine Nation. Niggas should start a book club, but these dumbass niggas ain't even gonna read the book. Sometimes walls. Many people may seem walled off, but sometimes walls can provide different ways of seeing over and around obstacles. Walled off. Not Waldorf. Walled off. Waldorf. The statement, while walls, either literal or emotional, might seem to create distance or barriers, they can also be used to gain different perspectives or to see things clearly. This may be a strategic way of identifying who genuinely cares or who is willing to bridge the gap. It can also be a way of for individuals to protect themselves emotionally or gain better understanding of themselves and their relationships. Like he don't even know. Like he's just showing me like he ain't it. Like, you know, and it's like down to like character. Like it could be that like my soft spoken and passive kind of like energy, like he can't help but to see. And then it adds a whole lot of more context to know that he's from Tyler House. And I'm not saying that because he's from Tyler House, you know, that he's no less smart, no less creative, no less able I can't find the word that I'm looking for. Capable. Like I'm not saying that because of where he's from, but I will say that like we all know that people from a certain side of town grow up with a certain type of mindset. Just like the part of town that I'm from kind of gave me a certain mindset. And we know that, you know, our city in general is crabs in a barrel. Even more so when you go to certain sides of town. And it's so ironic that he grew up across the street and works across the street. And I imagine he doesn't live far from there now. And this mindset. And, you know, I've been talking to my mom a lot lately about, like, you know, putting into perspective the way that we were raised. Me, my brother, and sister, and I. And I know that, like, we both kind of, like, we all have different experiences, even though we grew up in the same household, right? And I would even go as far to say that, you know, I grew up closer to the side of town that I'm referring to. So that explains why I kind of have a certain type of mindset that's kind of different. But to, like, even put in perspective, and I'm not even trying to, like, unpack somebody else, because I don't know him like that. I just know of what I know of him, right? And, like, that just speaks volumes. And I love, like, when I like when I'm reading, and I like reading shit like this, because, like, it literally put it in perspective. Like, many people may seem walled off, like, and he, you know, you would think, like, he, you know, he's smiling in everybody's face, he's leading meetings and doing shit like that, but he's still walled off, because that's obviously a facade. He just know how to play it well. He know how to code switch. But at the end of the day, he's not a nigga because he's black. He's a nigga because he's acting like a nigga. And I don't even say that to, like, make it like nigga is like, nigga. Like, I don't say it to say that. Like, I use that, like, I'm using nigga in that context, like, he's acting like a bitch. You know what I'm saying? And, like, that, like, it makes so much sense though. And, like, I can appreciate this quote that I just read, because, like, he has a psychological barrier up, and he's shown, like, based off the amount of time that he's been kind of acting like that he really can't help himself. This is in his character to be like that. Just like it's in my character to be a certain way. And I ain't gonna say that I'm right or wrong in these situations, but in this situation, I ain't been nothing but supportive and trying to do what's best for the team. And he's been contrast to that. Like, if I take a day off, I'm not even just gonna put it on the calendar. I'm gonna let everybody know. And I think it would be important for me to know that I'm gonna be watching the queue by myself from 2 to 10. I know I got Rob's support, but even still, I know I don't need it. Like, I can handle the queue all by myself. I will be fine. Like, and he know that. But they want me to get in my feelings about it, and that's what I don't like. He's like, and you know, like, I talked to another coworker about it, like, about Trump and, like, the shit that they do, and, like, this administration. He's literally like the Trump of our little administration. And the same way I say about Trump, and, like, I like to look at shit like objectively. In the same way I feel like Trump, as boisterous and loud and obnoxious as he tries to be, when he's in the bathroom taking a shit and there's nobody sitting next to his, there's nobody to talk to, he don't even got his phone with him. I know there's thoughts bouncing around in his head. When he wakes up in the morning and he has his first thought, you can't tell me that he doesn't think about some of these things that he's doing and saying and thinking, damn, I might have should have did something different. Maybe I should have been more kind. Maybe I should have been more thoughtful. Maybe I could have. Because motherfuckers be on their deathbed and they be saying sorry and repenting and all this type of shit. And that's the time to do it, because it's really between you and God. But that's the thing. He's doing this stuff trying to make me uncomfortable, when really the only person he gonna have to answer to is God. And God is seeing you, Mr. Cook. He sees even the stuff that I don't see. And all I got to say to you is God bless you, bruh. Like, because like that's the whole kill. Like, I'm not even the type of nigga to curse you. I want better for you. But when I notice that you don't want better for yourself, I just gotta be hands off. God bless you, bro. I needed to hear that though. That shit's spot on, bro. Fuck. I need to flip these wings too, man. Am I wild for eating jerk chicken in the morning? Am I wild? Oh my god. Need to replace them light bulbs. Let's see. I love you, Mom. I love you, Mom. Alright, man.
Surrounding the lightning bolt, an explosion of information arrives in inspired moments. How can we avoid becoming fixated on these bolts of lightning?
What? Man, what? Them hoes. I know I dropped one of them bitches off one time, but we'll do it again.
Some artists live as storm chasers awaiting spontaneous strikes, longing for the thrill. A more constructive strategy is to focus less on the lightning bolt and more on the spaces surrounding it. The space before, because lightning does not strike unless the right preconditions are met, and the space after, because the electricity dissipates if you do not capture it and use it. When we are struck by an epiphany, our experience of what's possible has been expanded. In that instant, we are broken open. We've entered a new reality. Even when we leave that heightened state, the experience sometimes remains in us. Other times it's fleeting. If lightning should strike, and this information is channeled through the ether to us, what follows is a great deal of practical work. While we can't command a lightning bolt's arrival, we can control the space around it. We accomplish this by preparing beforehand and honoring our obligation to it afterward. If lightning doesn't strike, our work need not be delayed. Some storm chasers believe that inspiration precedes creation. This is not always the case. Working without lightning bolts is simply working. Like carpenters, we show up each day and do our job. Sculptors knead clay, sweep the studio floor, and lock up for the night. Graphic designers sit at their workstations, select images, choose fonts, create layouts, and hit save. Artists are ultimately craftspeople. Sometimes our ideas come through bolts of lightning, other times only through effort, experiment, and craft. As we work, we may notice connections and become surprised by the wonder of what's revealed through the doing itself. In a way, these small aha moments are also bolts of lightning. Less vivid, they still illuminate our way. A lightning bolt may just be a temporary phenomenon, a momentary expression of cosmic potential. Not every inspired idea is destined to become a great work of art. Sometimes lightning arrives and we have no use for it. A moment of inspiration may excite us to begin a long exploration to discover its practical form, only to arrive at a dead end. The only way to find out is to engage wholeheartedly in the work. The idea is destined to become a great work of art. Sometimes less vivid, they still illuminate our way. A lightning bolt may just be a temporary phenomenon, a momentary expression of cosmic potential. Not every inspired idea is destined to become a great work of art. Sometimes lightning arrives and we have no use for it. A moment of inspiration may excite us to begin a long exploration to discover its practical form, only to arrive at a dead end. The only way to find out is to engage wholeheartedly in the work. Without diligence, inspiration alone rarely yields work of much consequence. In some projects, inspiration can be minimal and effort takes over. In others, inspiration can strike, and the effort needed to manifest its potential can't be summoned. Making great art may not always require great effort, but without it, you'll never know. If inspiration calls, we ride the lightning until the energy is exhausted. The ride may not last long, but we are grateful for the opportunity. If inspiration does not come to lead the way, we show up anyway. Do what you can with what you have. Nothing more is needed. 24/7, staying in it. The artist's job is never truly finished. In many occupations, when we go home, we leave our work behind at the office. The artist is always on call. Even after we get up from hours engaged in our craft, the clock is still running. This is because the artist's job is of two kinds: the work of doing, the work of being. Creativity is something you are, not only something you do. It's a way of moving through the world, every minute, every day. If you're not driven to an unrealistic standard of dedication, it may not be the path for you. So much of the artist's work is about balance, so it's ironic that this way of life leaves little room for it. Once you acquiesce to the demands of the creative life, it becomes a part of you. Even in the midst of a project, you still look for new ideas each day. At any moment, you're prepared to stop what you're doing to make a note or a drawing or capture a fleeting thought. It becomes second nature, and we're always in it, every hour of the day. Staying in it means a commitment to remain open to what's around you, paying attention and listening, looking for connections and relationships in the outside world, searching for beauty, seeking stories, noticing what you find interesting, what makes you lean forward, and knowing all of this is available to use next time you sit down to work, where the raw data gets put into form. There is no telling where that next great story, painting, recipe, or business idea is going to come from. Just as a surfer can't control the waves, artists are at the mercy of the creative rhythms of nature. This is why it's of such great importance to remain aware and present at all times, watching and waiting. Maybe the best idea is the one you're going to come up with this evening.
Mm.
Spontaneity, special moments. The song that springs to mind fully formed, the impulsive windings of a Jackson Pollock, the spontaneous dance move that fills the floor. Artists may prize spontaneous works, thinking there is some higher purity or specialness held in works channeled instead of carefully planned. But can you tell the difference between art that sprang to mind and art that was crafted with forethought? And what does this difference matter? Art made accidentally has no more or less weight than art created through sweat and struggle. Whether it took months or minutes does not matter. Quality isn't based on the amount of time invested. So long as what emerges is pleasing to us, the work has fulfilled its purpose. The story of spontaneity can be misleading. We don't see all the practice and preparation that goes into priming an artist for the spontaneous event to come through. Every work contains a lifetime of experience. Great artists often labor to make their work appear effortless. Sometimes they might spend years meticulously crafting and refining a composition to appear as if it was made in a day or in a moment. There are others who romanticize planning and preparation. To them, a spontaneous work has less validity. It seems more like a product of an artist's good fortune than talent. Consider neutrality. Just do the work and see what comes. If you like a result, accept it graciously, whether it arrives in a sudden flash or after long bouts of difficult, skilled labor. For some artists, the work comes easily. Bob Dylan could write a song in minutes, while Leonard Cohen sometimes took years, and we may love the songs equally. There's no pattern or logic to this enigmatic process. Not all projects are the same, no two people are the same. The project is the guide we follow, and each comes with its own conditions and requirements. If you are an artist whose process is intellectually based, it may be of benefit to play with spontaneity as a tool, a window to discovery, and an access point to new parts of yourself. Attachment to any specific creative process can seal the door through which spontaneity enters. Even if for a short time, it may be of benefit to leave this door cracked open. We can make an experiment of surrender to allow the surprise of discovery to come. If you sit down to write with no preparation or forethought, you might bypass the conscious mind and draw from the unconscious. You may find that what emerges holds a charge that cannot be duplicated through rational means. This approach is at the heart of some forms of jazz. When musicians are improvising a piece, preconceived ideas of what to play can prevent the performance from taking flight. The goal is to be in it and allow the music to essentially play itself, accepting the risks. The performances will be good on a good night and bad on a bad night. And perhaps the best jazz musicians are the ones who have the ability to create special moments on a fairly consistent basis. Even spontaneity gets better with practice. You may worry that a great idea could get lost or overlooked in the spontaneity of a moment. To guard against that, when I'm working with an artist, I make an endless amount of notes. When outside observers come into the studio, they often can't believe how clinical the process looks. They imagine a big music party. But we're constantly generating detailed notes on focus points and experiments to test. For almost everything that's said, someone is writing it down. 2 weeks later, there will come a time when someone will ask a question like, "What was that lyric we loved? What was the previous version of that element like? Which take was the best for the fill going into the second chorus?" And we go back to the notes. There's a great volume of material constantly being generated, and we're so in the moment that it's impossible to remember everything, even something that happened seconds ago. By the time we get to the end of the song, I'm absorbed in listening, and those thoughts are gone. Faithful note-taking by a connected observer helps prevent special moments from getting lost in the churn of excitement. Sometimes it can be the most ordinary moment that creates an extraordinary piece of art. How to choose.
Don't choose.
Every piece of art consists of a series of choices, like a tree with many branches. Our work begins with a seed which sprouts a trunk of the core idea. As it grows, each decision we make becomes a branch splitting off in a new direction, growing finer and finer in detail as we move further out. At each fork, we can go in any number of directions, and our choice will alter the final result, often radically. How do we decide which direction to take? How can we know which choice will lead us to the best possible version of the work? The answer is rooted in a universal principle of relationships. We can only tell where something is in relation to something else, and we can only assess an object or principle if we have something to compare and contrast it to. Otherwise, it's an absolute beyond evaluation. We can hack into this principle to improve our creations through A/B testing. It is difficult to assess a work or a choice on its own without another point of reference. If you place two options side by side and make a direct comparison, our preferences become clear. We limit our options for each test to two choices wherever possible. Any more cloud the process. When cooking a dish, we might taste two different varieties of the same ingredient before deciding which to use. Two actors reading the same monologue, two shades of a color, or two different floor plans of an apartment. We place them next to each other, step back, and directly compare. More often than not, there will be a clear draw toward one. If there isn't, we quiet ourselves to see which has a subtle pull. Following the natural feedback in the body, we move toward the option that hints at the ecstatic. Whenever possible, make the A/B test blind. Conceal as many details as possible about each option to remove any biases undermining fair comparison. For example, some musicians have a preference for either analog or digital recording. It is worth recording using both methods, then devising a way to listen to each without any indication of which is which. Sometimes the artists are surprised by their preference. If you're at an impasse in an A/B test, consider the coin toss method. Decide which option will be heads and which will be tails, then flip the coin. When the coin is spinning in the air, you'll likely notice a quiet preference or wish for one of the two to come up. Which are you rooting for? This is the option to go with. It's the one the heart desires. The test is over before the coin ever lands. When testing, don't over-intellectualize your choice of criteria. You're looking for that first instinct, the knee-jerk reaction before any thought. The instinctual tug tends to be the purest, whereas the second, more reasoned thought tends to be processed and distorted through analysis. The goal is to turn off the conscious mind and follow our impulses. Children are exceptionally good at this. They may move through several different spontaneous expressions of emotion in a single minute, without judgment or attachment. As we grow older, we're taught to hide or bury these reactions. This mutes our inner sensitivity. If we were to learn anything, it would be to free ourselves from any beliefs or baggage or dogma that gets in the way of us acting according to our true nature. The closer we get to a childlike state of free self-expression, the purer our test and the better our art. Once a work is complete, no amount of testing can guarantee we've made the best possible version. These qualities are not measurable. We test to identify which is the best version from the options at hand. No matter what, we test to identify which is the best version. These qualities are not measurable. We test to identify which is the best version from the options at hand. No matter what route you take, if you complete the journey, you will reach the same destination. This destination is a work we feel energized to share. One we look back on and wonder in amazement. As we grow older, we're taught to hide or bury these reactions. This mutes our inner sensitivity. If we were to learn anything, it would be to free ourselves from any beliefs or baggage or dogma that gets in the way of us acting according to our true nature. The closer we get to a childlike state of free self-expression, the purer our test and the better our art. Once a work is complete, no amount of testing can guarantee we've made the best possible version. These qualities are not measurable. We test to identify which is the best version from the options at hand. No matter what route you take, if you complete the journey, you will reach the same destination. This destination is a work we feel energized to share,
Hmm.
one we look back on and wonder in amazement how it could have come from us.
All the time.
Shades and degrees. In the creation of art, proportions can be deceptive. Two seeds of inspiration might seem indistinguishable, but one may yield volumes and the other little to nothing. What begins as a lightning bolt may not produce a work that reflects its initial magnitude, whereas a humble spark may grow into an epic masterpiece. In crafting, the amount of time we put in and the results we get are rarely in balance. A large movement may materialize all at once. Other times, a tiny detail may take days, and there's no predicting how much of a role either will play in the final outcome. Another surprising facet of the process is how the tiniest of details can clearly define a work. They can determine whether a piece is stimulating or languid, finished or unfinished. We make one dab of the brush, one tweak in the mix, and suddenly the work jumps from being halfway done to complete. When it happens, this seems miraculous. What ultimately makes a work great is the sum total of the tiniest details. From start to finish, everything has shades and degrees. There is no fixed scale. There can't be, because sometimes the smallest elements are the ones that weigh the most. When the work has 5 mistakes, it's not yet completed. When it has 8 mistakes, it might be. Implications, purpose. You may sometimes wonder, why am I doing this? What's it all for? Questions such as these come early and often for some. Others seem to go their whole lives without ever troubling themselves with these thoughts. Maybe they know that the maker and the explainer such as these come under. Why am I doing this? What's it all for? Questions such as these come early and often for some. Others seem to go their whole lives without ever troubling themselves with these thoughts. Maybe they know that the maker and the explainer are always two different people, even when they're the same person. In the end, these questions are of little importance. There doesn't need to be a purpose guiding what we choose to make. When examined more closely, we might find this grandiose idea useless. It implies we know more than we can know. If we like what we are creating, we don't have to know why. Sometimes the reasons are obvious, sometimes not, and they can change over time. It could be good for any of 1,000 different reasons. When we're making things we love, our mission is accomplished. There's nothing at all to figure out. Think to yourself, I'm just here to create. Freedom. Does the artist have a social responsibility?
Of course.
Some might agree with this notion and want to encourage artists to create accordingly. Those who hold this belief may not have a clear understanding of the function of art in society and its integral social value. The work of art serves its purpose independent of the creator's interest in social responsibility. Wanting to change people's minds about an issue or have an effect on society may interfere with the quality and purity of the work. This doesn't mean that our work can't have those qualities, but we generally don't get there by planning them. In the creative process, it's often more difficult to accomplish a goal by aiming at it. Deciding what to say in advance doesn't allow whatever's best to come. Meaning is assigned once an inspired idea is followed through. It's best to wait until...
Hold up. Got a notification. Copyright issues, fam. Okay, we knew that.
Till a work is complete to discover what it is saying. Holding your work hostage to meaning is a limitation. Works that attempt to overtly preach a message often don't connect as hoped, while a piece not intended to address a societal ill may become an anthem for a revolutionary cause. Art is far more powerful than our plans for it. Art can't be irresponsible. It speaks to all aspects of the human experience. There are sides of ourselves that aren't welcome in polite society, thoughts and feelings too dark to share. When we recognize them expressed in art, we feel less alone, more real, more human. This is the therapeutic power of making and consuming art. Art is above and beyond judgment. It either speaks to you or it doesn't. The artist's only responsibility is to the work itself. There are no other requirements. You're free to create what you will. You don't have to stand for your work, nor does your work have to stand for anything but itself. You are not a symbol of it, nor is it necessarily symbolic of you. It will be interpreted and reinterpreted in the eyes and ears of those who know almost nothing about you. If there were anything you might stand for, it would be to defend this creative autonomy, not just from outside censors, but from the voices in your head that have internalized what's considered acceptable. The world is only as free as it allows its artists to be. What we say, what we sing, what we paint, we get to choose. We have no responsibility to anything other than the art itself. The art is the final word. The possessed artists are often portrayed in films and books as tortured geniuses, starving, self-destructive, dancing on the brink of madness. This has instilled the belief that to make art, one has to be broken, or that the force of art is so powerful that it breaks its maker. Neither generalization is true. These misconceptions have a disheartening effect on the would-be artist. Some creators may live with a profound darkness. Others stride forward with ease and exuberance. Between lies a wide range of artistic temperament. For those called to art who do struggle with an overwhelming sensitivity, the creative process can have a therapeutic power. It offers a sense of deep connection, a safe place to voice the unspeakable and bare their soul. In these cases, art does not unravel the maker, but makes them whole. Although the character of the tortured artist tends to live more in mythology than in reality, this does not mean that art comes easily. It requires the obsessive desire to create great things. This pursuit doesn't have to be agonizing. It can be enlivening. It's up to you. Whether you have a powerful passion or a tortured compulsion, neither makes the art any better or worse. If you are able to choose between these paths, consider selecting the more sustainable one. An artist earns the title simply through self-expression, as they work in their own way at their own pace. What works for you? Believing. There's a songwriter who wrote all of her music in the same messy room in an old office building. It hasn't been touched in 30 years, and she refuses to let it be cleaned. The secret is in that room, she says. She believes it, and it works for her. Charles Dickens carried a compass to make sure he always slept facing north. He believed that alignment with the electrical currents of the earth supported his creativity. Dr. Seuss had a bookcase with a false door hiding hundreds of unusual hats. He and his editor would each pick a hat and stare at each other until inspiration came. These stories may or may not be completely true. It doesn't matter. If a ritual or superstition has a positive effect on an artist's work, then it's worth pursuing. Artists have created in every way possible, at the extremes of chaos and order, and at the meeting point of different methods at once. There is no right time, right strategy, or right equipment. It may be helpful to receive advice from more experienced artists, but as information, not as prescription. It can open you to another point of view and broaden your idea of what's possible. Established artists generally draw from their personal experience and recommend the solutions that worked for them. These tend to be specific to their journey, not yours. It's worth remembering that their way is not the way. Your path is unique, for only you to follow. There is no single route to great art. This doesn't mean ignore the wisdom of others. Receive wisdom skillfully. Try it on for size and see how it fits. Incorporate what's useful. Let go of the rest. And no matter how credible the source, test and tune into yourself to discover what works for you. The only practice that matters is the one you consistently do, not the practice of any other artist. Find your most generative method, apply it, and then let it go when it is no longer of use. There is no wrong way to make art. Adaptation. Something peculiar happens when we practice. With a piece of music we're learning, for example, we might play it over and over. It gets a little easier, a little harder, a little easier. Then we stop and come back a day or two later, and suddenly it flows from us far more naturally. Our fingers seem to have more agility. A difficult knot has untied itself. This phenomenon is different from most forms of learning. It's not reading information and remembering it. It's more mysterious than that. You wake up one morning transported to this new reality where you suddenly have more skill than you did before you went to sleep. The body has changed, adapting to the task it was presented and rising to perform it. Practice gets us part of the way there. Then it takes time for practice to be absorbed into the body. We might call this the recovery phase. In weightlifting, the practice breaks down muscle and recovery builds it back stronger than before. The passive element of practice is as important as the active one. It's commonly thought that achieving artistic mastery means working tirelessly. This is true, but it's only half of it. There may be benefit in taking breaks, in stepping away and returning at a later point. Whether when practicing your instrument or over the course of your life's work, recovery at the opportune time will cause greater leaps in improvement. This cycle of practice and adaptation creates multifaceted growth. You are building concentration and focus and training your brain to learn more effectively, more easily. As a result, other skills are lifted as well. Teaching yourself to play piano will likely improve your hearing, and you may well get better at math. This adaptation process plays a still bigger role, one beyond learning. It's an aspect of the universe manifesting through us, a will to life. An idea gathers energy, building charge, yearning to be embraced. We can hear it, see it, imagine it, but it may be an inch further away than we can currently reach. As we trace back over it, again and again, more and more detail comes into focus, and we become wholly consumed. Our capacity grows and stretches to touch the idea that Source is offering up. We accept this responsibility with gratitude, cherish it, and protect it, acknowledging with humility that it comes from beyond us, more important than us, and not just for us. We are in its service. This is why we are here. It is the impulse through which humanity evolves. We adapt and grow in order to receive. These inherent abilities made it possible for humans and for all life, over eons, to survive and thrive in an ever-changing world, and to play our predestined role in advancing the cycle of creation, supporting the birth of other new and more complex forms, if we choose to participate. Translation art is an act of decoding. We receive intelligence from Source and interpret it through the language of our chosen craft. In all fields, there are different degrees of fluency. Our level of skill influences our ability to best articulate this translation in the same way vocabulary affects communication. This is not a direct correlation. It's a fluid relationship. When learning a new language, you may be able to ask a question, speak a beautifully memorized phrase, or accidentally say something humorous. At the same time, you may feel unable to share bigger ideas, more nuanced feelings, and express the full extent of who you are. The more we develop, expand, and sharpen our skills, the more fluent we become. We can experience greater freedom and less sameness in the act of making, and vastly improve our ability to manifest the best version of our ideas in the physical world. For the sake of both the work and our own enjoyment, it's of great value to continue honing our craft. Every artist, at every juncture in the process, can get better through practice, study, and research. The gifts of art are more learned and developed than innate. We can always improve. As Arne Anderson once noted, "I'm both a professor and student, because if you're no longer a student, you don't have the right to call yourself a professor. If you feel unable to hit a note or faithfully paint an image, it's helpful to remember that the challenge is not that you can't do it, but that you haven't done it yet. Avoid thinking in impossibilities. If there's a skill or piece of knowledge you need for a particular project, you can do the homework and work toward it over time. You can train for anything. While this framework will broaden your ability, it won't guarantee you become a great artist. A guitarist could play the most complex solo, and while technically impressive, it might not connect emotionally, while an amateur could perform a simplistic three-chord song and move you to tears. At the same time, there's no need to fear learning too much theory. It won't undermine the pure expression of your voice, if you don't let it. Having the knowledge won't hurt the work. How you use the knowledge may. You have new tools. You don't have to use them. Learning provides more ways to reliably convey your ideas. From our enlarged menu, we can still choose the simplest, most elegant option. Painters like Barnett Newman, Piet Mondrian, and Joseph Albers were classically trained, and they chose to spend their careers exploring simple, monochromatic, geometric shapes. Consider your craft as an energy alive in you. It's just as much a part of the cycle of evolution as other living things are. It wants to grow. It wants to flower. To hone your craft is to honor creation. It doesn't matter if you become the best in your field. By practicing to improve, you are fulfilling your ultimate purpose on this planet.
Amen.
Clean slate. After spending thousands of hours working on a piece, it's difficult to judge it from a neutral place. When someone experiences the work for the first time, after only 2 minutes, they may see it more clearly than you do. In time, almost every artist finds themselves too close to the things they make. After endlessly working on the same piece, perspective is lost. We develop a kind of blindness. Doubt and disorientation may creep in. Judgment is impaired. If we train ourselves to step away from the work, to truly detach from it, to distract ourselves completely, to dive fully into something else. After being away for a long enough period of time, when we come back, we just may be able to see it as if for the first time. This is the practice of cleaning the slate, the ability to create as an artist and experience the work as a first-time viewer, dropping baggage from the past of what you thought you wanted the work to be. The mission is to be in the present moment with the work. Here is one concrete example of keeping a clean slate. The final stage of the recording process is the mix. This is where a sound engineer balances the levels of different instruments to best present the material. When listening to a mix in progress, I make a list of notes. Maybe the vocal in the bridge isn't loud enough. The drum fill in the transition to the last chorus wants to have more importance. Or we may need to duck a certain instrument in the intro to make space for another event. A common practice is to make those changes, tick each item off the checklist, and then play back the song with the list in mind. Okay, are the vocals in the bridge louder as I requested? Yes, check. Does the drum fill in the transition seem more important? Yes, check. You're anticipating each part, selectively paying attention to see if your changes were made, rather than listening to the song as a whole and seeing if it's actually better than it was before. The ego comes in, saying, I wanted this to happen. I got what I wanted, so it's a problem solved. But this isn't necessarily true. Yes, the changes were made, but did they improve the work? Or have they set off a domino effect that created other problems? At this stage in the process, every element of a work is interdependent, so even a small change can have unexpected ramifications. When the mix is updated to reflect your list, you may falsely assume you've made progress. The key is to give the notes to someone else to implement when you can, then discard the list and never refer to it again. When the revised mix is played, listen as if for the first time and begin a new list of notes from scratch. This usually helps to hear things as they truly are and guide your progress to arrive at the best version. A way to practice keeping a clean slate is to avoid looking at the work too often. If you finish a section or come to a sticking point, consider putting the project away and not engaging with it for a period of time. Let it sit for a minute, a week, or longer while you go get lost. Meditation is a valuable tool for hitting the reset button. You may also try vigorous exercise, a scenic adventure, or immersing yourself in an unrelated creative endeavor. When you return with a clear perspective, you will more likely have the discernment to see what the project wants and needs. What allows this to happen is the passing of time. Time is where learning occurs, unlearning as well.
Word, word. Crispy though, me. Let them do that for a little bit. I don't know if that's a great idea either, but that motherfucker flickering. Only been here for a month, that bitch flickering. I wanna finish this bitch, but I wanna get back in the motherfucking bed. I ain't gonna lie to you. Yeah, let me change this camera. Change this camera on, bitch. I can see my dog. Alright, context.
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 Imagine a flower in an open meadow. Now, take the same flower and slip it into the barrel of a rifle, or place it on a gravestone. Notice in each case how you feel. The significance changes. In new surroundings, the same object can take on considerably different meanings. The context changes the content. In your work, consider the implications of this principle. If you're painting a portrait, the background is part of the context. Changing the background sheds new light on the foreground. A dark setting sends a different message than a light one. A dense environment feels different than a sparse one. The frame, the room the painting is hung in, the artwork next to it. All these elements affect the perception of the work. Some artists choose to control all these factors thoroughly. Others leave them to chance. And some create art that is completely context-dependent. Andy Warhol's Brillo boxes, for example. In a grocery store, they're disposable packaging for useful kitchen items. In a museum, they're rare objects of fascination and intrigue. When sequencing a collection of songs, placing a quiet one next to a loud one affects the way a listener hears them both. After the quiet song, the loud one seems more bombastic. One musician, I'm told, would add his newest track to a playlist along with the most beloved songs of all time to see if his work stood up in this context. If not, he would set it aside and keep working toward greatness. The social norms of any time and place are another contextual box that art lives in. The same story of a relationship between two people could play out in Detroit or in Bali, in ancient Rome, or in a different dimension. In each case, the story may take on new meaning. Publish the work one particular year as opposed to another, and the meaning can change again. Current events, cultural trends, other works released concurrently all affect a project's reception. Time is another form of context. When a piece isn't living up to your expectations, consider changing the context. Look past the principal element, examine the variables around it, play with different combinations. Place it next to other works. Surprise yourself. A few common options are: Soft, loud, fast, slow, high, low, close, far, bright, dark, large, small, curved, straight, rough, smooth, before, after, inside, outside, same, different. A new context may create a work more powerful than the one you anticipated, one you never could have imagined before changing one seemingly inconsequential element. The energy in the work. What motivates us to work so diligently? What drives us to finish certain pieces and not others? We would like to think that it's our enthusiasm, a feeling that wells up when in the throes of self-expression. This energy is not generated by us. We are caught by it. We picked it up from the work. It contains the charge, a contagious vitality that pulls us forward. Works hinting at greatness contain a charge we can feel, like static before a lightning storm. They consume their maker, occupying waking thoughts and dreams. Sometimes they become the artist's reason for living. The energy feels similar to another force of creation in the world, love, a kinetic draw beyond our rational comprehension. Early in a project, excitement is the inner voltmeter to watch, to help choose which seed to develop. When you're handling a seed and the needle jumps, it indicates that the work is worthy of your attention, your devotion. It holds the potential to sustain your interest and make the effort worthwhile. As you experiment and craft, more energetic charges are set off as further decisions are made. You catch yourself losing track of time, forgetting to eat, withdrawing from the outside world. Other times, the process is a grind. Minutes pass slowly, and you count down the days until the work is complete. A prisoner etching marks on a cell wall. Remember that the energy in the work isn't always accessible to you. At times, you take a wrong turn and the charge is lost. Or you're so deep in the details that you can't see the bigger picture. Even with the greatest work, it's natural for excitement to wax and wane. If the work is thrilling one day and isn't for a long while after, you may have experienced a false indicator. When the moments of joy seem like a distant memory and the work feels like an obligation to a past idea, this could mean you've either gone too far or that particular seed wasn't actually ready to germinate yet. If the energy is depleted, either back up a few steps to tap back into the charge or find a new seed generating excitement. One of the skills an artist develops is the ability to recognize when either they or the work have nothing left to give each other. All living things are interconnected, depending on one another to survive. A work of art is no different. It generates excitement in you. This commands your attention, and your attention is exactly what's required for it to grow. It's a harmonic, mutually dependent relationship. The creator and the creation rely on each other to thrive. The call of the artist is to follow the excitement. Where there's excitement, there's energy. And where there is energy, there is light. The best work is the work you're excited about. Ending to start anew, regeneration.
Ending to start anew.
Carl Jung was obsessed with building a round tower to live, think, and create in. The shape was important because he saw life in the round as something forever coming into being and passing on. We are part of a constant, interconnected cycle of birth, death, and regeneration. Our bodies decay into the earth to bring forth new life. Our energetic mind is returned to the universe to be repurposed. Art exists in this same cycle of death and rebirth. We participate in this by completing one project so that we can start anew. As in life, each ending invites a fresh beginning. When consumed with a single work to the degree that we believe it's our life's mission, there's no room for the next one to develop. While the artist's goal is greatness, it's also to move forward. In service to the next project, we finish the current one. In service to the current project, we finish it so it can be set free into the world. Sharing art is the price of making it. Exposing your vulnerability is the fee. Out of this experience comes regeneration, finding freshness within yourself for the next project, and all the ones to follow. Every artist creates a dynamic history, a living museum of finished objects, One work after another. Begun, completed, released. Begun, completed, released. Over and over again. Each a timestamp commemorating a moment of passage. A moment filled with energy, now forever embodied in a work of art. A work of art is not an endpoint in itself. It's a station on a journey, a chapter in our lives. We acknowledge these transitions by documenting each of them. Playmaking art is a serious matter, harnessing creative energy from source, shepherding ideas into the physical plane, participating in the cosmic cycle of creation. The opposite is also true. Making art is pure play. Within every artist, there's a child emptying a box of crayons onto the floor, searching for just the right color to draw the sky. It might be violet, olive, or burnt orange. As artists, we strive to preserve this playfulness throughout the gravity of the enterprise. We embrace both the seriousness of the commitment and the playfulness of being completely free in the making. Take art seriously without going about it in a serious way. Seriousness.
Hold on, I need to write that one down. Take art serious without going about it in a serious way. I like that a lot. A lot. Let me check on this chicken. Nigga. Oh, that camera gonna bump you in the head. Shake that ass to the floor. Shake that ass to the floor. You that ass so your mama have reindeer? Fuck is that noise, right? You heard that? You heard that, man?
Saddles the work with a burden. It misses the playful side of being human, the chaotic exuberance of being present in the world, the lightness of pure enjoyment for enjoyment's sake. In play, there are no stakes, no boundaries, no right or wrong, no quotas for productivity. It's an uninhibited state where your spirit can run free. The best ideas arise most often and easily through this relaxed state. Putting importance on the work too soon stirs up instincts of caution. Instead, we want to break free of the shackles of reality and avoid all forms of creative restraint. Feel free to experiment, make messes, embrace randomness. When playtime is over, our adult aspect might come in to analyze, what did the kids make today? I wonder if it's any good, and what it could mean. Each day is about showing up, building things, breaking them down, experimenting, and surprising ourselves. If a 4-year-old loses interest in an activity, they don't try to complete it or force themselves to have fun with it. They just shift gears to a new quest, another form of play. Some aspects of the work can get tedious. In those moments, can you re-engage with the spirit of the process from early on? Once, in the studio with an artist, we were working on an up-tempo track. We decided to try it acoustically, which led us to add an interesting overdub. Then we muted everything except the overdub and heard it on its own, which led us in a whole new direction. Each different iteration led to a new version, none of it planned or attached to a preconceived notion. In the end, a beautiful recording emerged that was nothing like the original vision of the song, and was only possible by allowing what was present to suggest a new possibility. Rather than following a plan, a path was taken blindly. This can happen every day. Find a clue, follow a lead, remain unattached to what came before, and avoid getting stuck with a decision you made 5 minutes ago. Think back to when you were a hopeful beginner, when the tools of your craft were exotic and new. Remember the fascination of learning, the joys of your first steps forward. This might be the best way to retain the energy that drives the work, and to fall in love with the practice again and again. Whether the work comes easily through play or with difficulty through struggle, the quality of the finished piece is unaffected. The art habit, Sangha. If you're looking for the work to support you, you may be asking too much of it. We create in service to art, not for what we can get from art. You may yearn for success as a way to leave an unfulfilling job and support yourself through your passion. This is a reasonable goal. However, if the choice is between making great art and supporting yourself, the art comes first. Consider another way to make a living. Success is harder to come by when your life depends on it. Art is an unstable career path for most.
What do you say? Success is harder to come by when your life depends on it. Yeesh. Yeesh. That's eerily. We gotta write that one down on the dry erase board. Success is harder to come by. Success is harder to come by when your life depends on it. It's crazy. But how do they tell you, how could they tell you to, you know what I'm saying, whether it's creating art or a living, the fuck? I think that would drive me even more crazy, but at the same time,
Financial reward often comes in waves, if at all. Some artists might have a vision for what they want to create, but may feel restrained because they don't believe it will pay the bills. It's okay to have a job that supports your art habit. Doing both is a better way of keeping the work pure. There are jobs that demand your time, but little else. You can protect the art you make by choosing an occupation that gives you mental space to formulate and develop your creative vision of the world. Content can come from jobs that have nothing to do with your passion. Great ideas often originate from unexpected places. Many memorable songs have been written by people in occupations they didn't like.
Hmm.
Another choice is to seek a living in the field you're passionate about.
I'm telling
It
you,
may be a gallery, a bookstore, a music studio, or a film set.
music studio.
If no
I'm trying to
jobs
get
are
to the
available
film
close
set.
to the action, ask if you can moonlight as an intern. By choosing to be
Mm.
near what you love, you're offered a glimpse behind the scenes of the craft. You can observe the daily life of professional creators and understand the industry and its infrastructure from the inside. After experiencing how it operates, you will come to know whether this path is worthy of your devotion. Even if it means taking a pay cut initially, choosing this type of work could lead to unexpected opportunities later. You can also pursue an unrelated career that provides security while keeping art as a hobby that's the most important thing in your life. All paths are of equal merit. Whatever you choose, it's helpful to have fellow travelers around you. They don't have to be like you, just like-minded in some way.
Mm.
Creativity is contagious. When we spend time with other artistic people, we absorb and exchange a way of thinking, a way of looking at the world. This group can be called a sangha. Each person in this relationship begins seeing with a different imaginative eye. It doesn't matter if their art form is the same as or different from yours. It's nourishing to be in a community of people who are enthusiastic about art, who you can have long discussions with, and with whom you can trade feedback on the work. Being part of an artistic community can be one of the great joys of life. The prism of self. Defining one's true self is not so simple. It may be impossible. We inhabit many different versions of a changing self. The suggestion to be yourself may be too general to be of much use. There's being yourself as an artist, being yourself with your family, being yourself at work, being yourself with friends, being yourself in times of crisis or in times of peace, and being yourself for yourself when by yourself. In addition to these environmental variations, we are also always changing within. Our moods, our energy level, the stories we tell ourselves, our prior experiences, how hungry or tired we are. All these variants create a new way of being in each moment. Depending on who we're with, where we are, and how safe or challenged we feel, we are changing all the time, moving between different aspects of self. We may have one aspect that wants to be more bold or subversive, which wrestles with our more agreeable, conflict-avoidant self. There may be a dreamer aspect, aspiring to inhabit vast, magnificent worlds, at odds with our pragmatic side that questions our ability to make our dreams real. There is a constant negotiation occurring between these various aspects, and each time we tune in to a particular one, different choices result, changing the outcome of our work. In a prism, a single beam of light enters and is broken into an array of colors. The self, too, is a prism. Neutral events enter and are transformed into a spectrum of feelings, thoughts, and sensations. All this information is processed distinctively by each aspect of self, refracting life's light in its own way and emitting different shades of art. For this reason, not every work can reflect all of ourselves. Perhaps it's never possible, no matter how hard we try. Instead, we might embrace the prism of self and keep allowing reality to bend uniquely through us. Like a kaleidoscope, we can adjust the aperture on our vision and change the results. We may aim to work from one particular aspect, like taking on a character, and create something from our darkest self or our most spiritual self. Those two works won't be the same, but they both come from us, and they would both be true colors. The more we accept our prism-like nature, the more free we become to create in different colors, and the more we trust the inconsistent instincts we hold while making art. We don't have to know why something is good, or wonder if it's the right decision, or if it reflects us accurately. It is simply the light our prism emits naturally at this moment in time. Any framework, method, or label you impose on yourself is just as likely to be a limitation as an opening. Let it be first. Do no harm. This credo is the well-known guiding principle of the physician's oath. Consider it a universal precept. If asked to participate in a fellow creator's project, proceed delicately. In its rough form, an early iteration of a work may hold an extraordinary magic. Above all this is to be protected. When working alongside others, keep the oath front of mind. Simple recognition of the strengths may be enough to move the project forward. A friend played me his current work, asking for input. To my ear, there was nothing to be added or changed. In the final mix, I suggested, skip the typical refining of balances and sounds. That standard would only water down a masterpiece. Sometimes the most valuable touch a collaborator can have is no touch at all.
Hmm.
Cooperation. The prism of self reflects an aspect of our being into our work. When more than one prism is applied, unexpected possibilities can be unlocked. Whether the perspectives contrast or complement each other, they combine to create a new vision. Let's call this cooperation. Like awareness, cooperation is a practice. The more skillfully we participate in the process, the more comfortable it becomes. Cooperation is comparable to the way a jazz ensemble improvises. A handful of collaborators, each with their own original point of view, work together to create a new whole, acting and reacting intuitively in the moment. You can lead the play or allow yourself to be led, enjoying the surprise of the unexpected. You can solo or lay out completely as best serves the work. Each time we cooperate, we're exposed to different ways of working and problem solving, which can inform our creative process going forward. Cooperation is not to be mistaken for competition. It is not a power struggle to get your way or to be proven right. Competition serves the ego. Cooperation supports the highest outcome. Think of cooperation as giving or getting a boost to see over a high wall. There's no power struggle in this act. You are simply finding the best route to a new perspective. It is a disservice to the project to weigh our contribution to it. Believing an idea is best because it's ours is an error of inexperience. The ego demands personal authorship, inflating itself at the expense of the art. It can reject new methods that appear counterintuitive and protect familiar ones. The best results are found when we're impartial and detached from our own strategies. We all benefit when the best idea is chosen, regardless of whether it's ours or not. When I work with artists, we make an agreement. We continue the process until reaching the point where we are all happy with the work. This is the ultimate goal of cooperation. If one person loves it, but another does not, there's usually an underlying issue worth paying attention to. It likely means we haven't gone far enough, and the work hasn't reached its full potential. If one collaborator likes choice A and another prefers choice B, then the solution is not to choose A or B. It's to keep working until a choice C is developed that both artists feel is superior. Choice C may incorporate elements of A, of B, of both, or of neither. The moment one collaborator gives in and settles on a less preferential option for the sake of moving forward, everyone loses. Great decisions aren't made in a spirit of sacrifice. They're made by the mutual recognition of the best solution available. If you already like the work in its current form, there's nothing to be lost by trying to better it until everyone loves it. You are not compromising. You are working together to surpass the current iteration. We might not create equally with every partner. There can be incredibly talented people joining forces, yet for whatever reason, they don't resonate with each other. Or perhaps a participant doesn't work in the spirit of cooperation and instead sets a tone of competition and persuasion. If you never see eye to eye with a collaborator and after many iterations of the work can't arrive at something special, it might not be the right match. At the same time, there may also be a misalignment if you always see eye to eye with a collaborator. We are not looking for someone who thinks like us, works like us, and shares our taste. If you and a collaborator agree on everything, then one of you may be unnecessary. Imagine shining a beam of light through two filters of identical color. Whether apart or together, they produce the same hue, whereas overlapping two contrasting filters produces a new shade. In many of the greatest bands, collectives, and collaborations, a degree of polarity between members was part of the formula for greatness. The magic comes from a dynamic tension between different points of view, creating works more distinctive than a lone voice would. Healthy tension in a collaboration is not uncommon. Friction allows the fire to come. As long as we're not attached to having it be our way, we welcome this friction. It's bringing us closer to the best version of the work at hand. Some collaborations operate more like dictatorships than democracies. This system can work as well. In these cases, everyone agrees to line up behind one person's vision and do all they can to manifest it. Whether the final decision is made by a single leader or a collective, it's still a collaborative act. The participants are offering up their best work in the spirit of cooperation. Communication is the core of skillful cooperation. When giving feedback, don't make it personal. Always comment on the work itself
Don't make it
and not the
personal.
individual who made it. If a participant takes a critique personally, they tend to shut down. Be as specific as possible with your
Mr.
feedback.
Cook.
Zoom in to discuss the details of what you're seeing and feeling.
Man.
The more clinical the feedback, the better it will be received. Saying, "I think the colors in these two areas don't interact well together," is more helpful than, "I don't like the colors." Though you may have a specific fix in mind, hold back from sharing it immediately. The recipient may be able to come up with a better solution on their own. When on the receiving end of feedback, our task is to set aside ego and work to fully understand the critique offered. When one participant suggests a specific detail that could be improved, we might mistakenly think that the entire work is being called into question. Our ego can perceive assistance as interference. It helps to keep in mind that language is an imperfect means of communication. An idea is altered and diluted through its mistranslation into words. Those words are then further distorted through our filter as we take them in, leaving us in a world of ambiguity. It requires patience and diligence to get past the story of what you think you're hearing and get close to understanding what's actually being said.
Patience and diligence.
When receiving feedback, a useful practice is to repeat back the information. You may find that what you heard isn't what was said, and what was said may not even be what was actually meant. Ask questions to gain clarity. When collaborators patiently explain what aspects of the work they're focusing on, we may recognize that our visions are not in opposition. We're just using different language or noticing different elements. When sharing observations, specificity creates space. It dissipates the level of emotional charge and enables us to work together in service of the piece. The synergy of a group is as important, if not more important, than the talent of the individuals. The sincerity dilemma. Most artists overvalue sincerity. They strive to create art that expresses their truth, the truest version of themselves. Sincerity, however, is an elusive characteristic. It is different from other goals we may have. Where greatness is a target worthy of our aim, setting our sights on sincerity may be counterproductive. The more we stretch to reach it, the farther away it recedes.
I'm telling you.
When a work presents itself as sincere, it can be seen as saccharine. Sweetness made small, a hollow rhyme in
Hey,
a greeting
Siri.
card.
What does saccharin mean?
Which word? S-A-C-C-H-A-R-I-N or S-A-C-C-H-A-R-I-N-E?
Very sweet or sentimental.
Now?
Mm. this happen? Thunder only happens when it's raining.
In art, sincerity is a byproduct. It cannot be the primary aim.
Damn.
We
I
like
know
to
that.
think of ourselves as consistent,
sincere. I'm
rational
sincere.
beings, possessing certain
That is
attributes
exactly
and not
who I am.
others.
Consistent, rational.
Yet a person who is completely consistent, who possesses no contradictions, comes across as less real.
Damn. Wooden, plastic. Damn.
Wooden, plastic. The most truthful and irrational aspects of ourselves are often hidden, and our access to them lies through the creation of art. Each work tells us who we are, often in ways the audience understands before we do. Creativity is an exploratory process to find the concealed material within. We won't always discover it. If we do, it may not make sense. A seed could draw us because it contains something we don't understand, and this vague attraction will be as close to knowing as we ever get. Some aspects of the self don't like to be approached head-on. They prefer to arrive indirectly, in their own way, as sudden glimpses caught in accidental moments, like sunlight glinting off the surface of a wave. These apparitions don't fit into words that can easily be expressed in ordinary language. They're extraordinary, beyond the mundane. A poem can convey information that can't be transmitted through prose or conversation, and all art is poetry. Art goes deeper than thought, deeper than the stories about yourself. It breaks through inner walls and accesses what's behind. If we get out of the way and let the art do its work, it may yield the sincerity we seek. And sincerity may look nothing like we expected.
Damn. That one was real. That one was strong.
The Gatekeeper.
Hold on.
No.
They skipped it. Anything that allows the audience to access how you see the world is accurate, even if the information is wrong. Anything that allows the audience to access how you see the world is accurate, even if the information is wrong.
No matter where your ideas come from or what they look like, they all eventually pass through a particular aspect of yourself. The editor, the gatekeeper. This is who will determine the final expression of the work, regardless of how many selves were involved in its construction. The editor's role is to gather and sift, amplifying what's vital and whittling away the excess, culling the work down to the best version of itself. Sometimes the editor will find holes and send us out to gather data to fill them. Other times there exists a wealth of information, and the editor will remove what's unneeded to reveal the finished work. Editing is a demonstration of taste. It isn't expressed through pointing to items we like, the music that pleases our ear, or the films we revisit. Our taste is revealed in how our work is curated, what's included, what's not, and how the pieces are put together. You may be drawn to different rhythms, colors, and patterns, though they might not live together harmoniously. The pieces must fit together in the container. The container is the organizing principle of the work. It dictates which elements do and don't belong. The same furniture that suits a palace may not make sense in a monastery. The editor is required to set ego aside. Ego pridefully attaches to individual elements of a work. The editor's role is to remain unattached and see beyond these passions to find unity and balance. Talented artists who are unskilled editors can do subpar work and fail to live up to their gift's promise. Avoid confusing the editor's cold detachment with the inner critic. The critic doubts the work, undermines it, zooms in, and picks it apart. The editor steps back, views the work holistically, and supports its full potential. The editor is the professional in the poet. As we move closer to the completion of a project, it can be helpful to drastically cut the work back to only what's necessary, to conduct a ruthless edit. Much of the creative process thus far has been additive, so think of this as the subtractive part of the project. It typically occurs after all the building has been completed and the options exhausted. Often, editing is thought of as trimming, cutting away the fat. In the ruthless edit, this is not the case. We are deciding what absolutely has to be there in order for the work to still be itself, what is completely necessary. We are not aiming to reduce the work to its final length. We are working to reduce it beyond its final length. Even if trimming away 5% will leave the work at the scale you intend for it, we may cut deeper and leave only half or a third. If you're working on a 10-song album and you've recorded 20 songs, you're not aiming to reduce it to 10. You're shrinking it to 5, to only the tracks you can't live without. If you've written a book that's over 300 pages, try to reduce it to less than 100 without losing its essence. In addition to getting to the heart of the work, through this brutal edit, we change our relationship to it. We come to understand its underlying structure and realize what truly matters, to disconnect from the attachment of making it and see it for what it is. What effect does each component have? Does it amplify the essence? Does it distract from the essence? Does it contribute to the balance? Does it contribute to the structure? Is it absolutely necessary? With the extra layers removed, you may stand back and notice that the work is successful as it is, in its simplest form, or you may feel that you want to restore certain elements. As long as you're maintaining the integrity of the work, it's a matter of personal preference. It's worth taking a moment to notice if any of your add-backs actually enhance the work. We're not looking for more for the sake of more. We're only looking for more for the sake of better. The goal is to get the work to the point that when you see it, you know it couldn't have been arranged any other way. There's a sense of balance, of elegance. It is not easy leaving behind elements you've put so much time and care into. Some artists fall in love with all the crafted material to the point where they resist letting go of an element, even if the whole is better without it. Making the simple complicated is commonplace, Charles Mingus once said. Making the complicated simple, awesomely simple, that's creativity. Being an artist means to be continually asking, how can it be better? Whatever it is. It may be your art, and it may be your life. Why make art?
I'm about to finish this shit.
As you deepen your participation in the creative act, you may come across a paradox. Ultimately, the act of self-expression isn't really about you. Most who choose the artist's path don't have a choice. We feel compelled to engage, as if by some primal instinct, the same force that calls turtles toward the sea after hatching in the sand. We follow this instinct. To deny it is dispiriting, as if we are in violation of nature. If we zoom out, we see this blind impulse is always there, guiding our aim beyond ourselves. In the moment when we feel the work is taking shape, there's a dynamic surge, followed by an urge to share, in the hopes of replicating that mysterious emotional charge in others. This is the call to self-express, our creative purpose. It's not necessarily to understand ourselves or be understood. We share our filter, our way of seeing, in order to spark an echo in others. Art is a reverberation of an impermanent life. As human beings, we come and go quickly, and we get to make works that stand as monuments to our time here, enduring affirmations of existence. Michelangelo's David, the first cave paintings, a child's finger paint landscapes. They all echo the same human cry, like graffiti scrawled in a bathroom stall. I was here. When you contribute your point of view to the world, others can see it. It's refracted through their filter and distributed again. This process is continuous and ongoing. Taken all together, it creates what we experience as reality. Every work, no matter how trivial it may seem, plays a role in this greater cycle. The world continually unfolds. Nature renews itself. Art evolves. Each of us has our own way of seeing this world, and this can lead to feelings of isolation. Art has an ability to connect us beyond the limitations of language. Through this, we get to face our inner world outward, remove the boundaries of separation, and participate in the great remembering of what we came into this life knowing. There is no separation. We are one. The reason we're alive is to express ourselves in the world, and creating art may be the most effective and beautiful method of doing so. Art goes beyond language, beyond lives. It's a universal way to send messages between each other and through time. Harmony.
Harmony. I like harmony.
The invisible threads of mathematics are laced through all natural beauty. We can find the same ratios at work in the spirals of seashells and galaxies, in flower petals, DNA molecules, hurricanes, and the design of the human face. Certain proportions create a sense of holy balance. Our point of reference for beauty is nature. When we come upon these ratios when making art, they soothe us. Our creations are inspired by the relationships that we are most awed by. The Parthenon, the Great Pyramid, Leonardo's Vitruvian Man, Brancusi's Bird in Space, Bach's Goldberg Variations, Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. These works all rely on the same geometry found in nature. The universe holds a sense of harmony, a beautifully deep, interdependent system. When you step back from a project you have been working on for some time and recognize a new symmetry you never knew was possible, you will likely feel a calm satisfaction, an excitement that contains at its core a sense of peace. Order appears. A harmonic resonance is palpable. You're a participant in this intricate mechanism. In music, the rules of harmony are laid out in formulas. Each note has a vibrational wavelength, and every wavelength has a specific relationship to the others. Following mathematical principles, one can calculate harmonic pairings of these waves. All elements have wavelengths, objects, colors, ideas. When we combine them, a new vibration is generated. Sometimes that vibration is harmonious, and other times it's dissonant. We don't need to understand the math to create powerful work from these vibrations. For some, understanding the mathematics undermines their natural intuitive sense. We tune into ourselves to feel harmony. We use the intellect in an attempt to explain it only after the fact. For those who don't come to this knowing naturally, it can be developed, given time. Through practiced attunement, you can grow alert to these natural resonances, more acutely sensing what's in balance and recognizing the divine proportions. When you're creating or completing a work, there's a clearer recognition, a harmonic ring. There's a sense of accord, a coherence. The individual elements merge and become one. A great work doesn't have to be in harmony. Sometimes the point of the art is to show imbalance or to create a sense of unease. In a song, when you hear a dissonant harmony suddenly fall in tune, there's a pleasing effect. That's why the discordant choice may be of interest. It creates tension and release, drawing our attention to the harmony we may not have otherwise noticed. As we move deeper into alignment with fundamental harmonic principles in our craft, we might be able to recognize them everywhere we look. By working in the specific, our tastes become more refined in the general as well. When we are unable to recognize the harmony in the universe around us, it's probably because we're not taking in enough data. If we zoom out or zoom in far enough, the integrated nature of all there becomes clear. Just as each small stroke on a canvas can't step aside to see the whole painting, we're unable to take in the great whole of relationships and counterbalance that surrounds us in all directions. Our inability to comprehend. We have stories about ourselves, and those are not who we are. We have stories about the work, and those are not what the work is. All our efforts to make sense of ourselves and our art are what we tell ourselves. We have stories about ourselves, and those are not who we are. We have stories about the work, and those are not what the work is. All our efforts to make sense of ourselves and our art are a smokescreen, an obfuscation. They don't illuminate what is. They mislead us. We have no way of knowing what is insignificant and what is essential, or what our contributions mean. We tell ourselves varying stories of who we are and how the work gets made. But none of them matter. All that matters is the work itself, the art that actually gets made and how it's perceived. You are you. The work is the work. Each person in the audience is themselves, uniquely so. None of it can truly be understood, let alone distilled to simple equations or common language. Billions of data points are available at any given moment, and we collect only a small number. With this glimpse through a keyhole, we assemble an interpretation and add another story to our collection. With each story we tell ourselves, we negate possibility. Reality is diminished. Rooms of the self are walled off. Truth collapses to fit a fictional organizing principle we've adopted. As artists, we're called to let go of these stories, again and again, and blindly put our faith in the curious energy drawing us down the path. The artwork is the point where all the elements come together: the universe, the prism of self, the magic and discipline of transmuting idea to flesh. And if these lead you into contradiction, into territories that seem unbridgeable or unknowable, that doesn't mean they aren't harmonious. Even in perceived chaos, there is order and pattern, a cosmic undercurrent running through all things, which no story is immense enough to contain. The universe never explains why.
Nigga. He ain't conclude the shit or nothing. I ain't gonna say that was a scam, because I definitely got a lot out of this book. And it did make some very good points. I feel like I'm gonna have to read this again eventually at some point in life. At some point. Alright. Think about to go back to bed. Get ready for this meeting at 1:30. But what I got from this, most importantly, hey, can I get a workshop on this story? Anyway, take art seriously without going about it in a serious way. Okay, so I think that is just telling me I need to be more childlike, more playful with the art, and that's fair, because I think I do take things a little too seriously. I could chill out a little bit. Yeah. Got me a bag, I'm fucking it up. Shooting from 3, I'm the 2 and the 1. I'm vetting this shit, I'm way too clutch. I do my thing, you ain't doing enough. She hate my guts, still let me fuck. Shit like water, I just might cuff. Niggas be blowing me, always bluffing. Talking about 10K and never touched it. I'm the shit, nobody flushed it. I be counting up Harriet Tubmans while your block be getting punished, yeah. You know I'm coming, this shit too easy. You ain't on man time, you a sweetie. She on my dick, she try to see me. Ice on wrist, my shit say blingy. Bling, blow, I know you see me. Making dough flip like Chris Breezy. Can't retire, the game need me, nigga. Got me a bag, I'm fucking it up. Shooting from 3, I'm the 2 and the 1. I'm the 2 and the 1. Got me a bag, I'm fucking it up. Shooting from 3, I'm the 2 and the 1. Alright, remember to pass your blessings on to somebody else, because you blessed beyond measure. Have a great day. It's another great day to have a great day. Mind your motherfucking business. And motherfucking, what else? Be kind and generous.